These are almost the same challenges that the country faces today. Nothing much has changed since 1996, and still the construction of substandard structures goes on. There are several key players in the construction industry in Kenya, all governed under different regulations. First, there is the developer, the person who owns the building. Then there are the architects, governed by the Architectural Association of Kenya. Normally, the architect develops the concept for the client to show how the space will be utilized and also gives layouts on the final outlook. Then there are the engineers under the Engineers Board of Kenya. They pick up from the architects and design how the building should be placed on the ground with all the services. Engineers mainly involved in the construction sector include structural engineers who are in charge of the overall stability of the building and geotechnical engineers who deal with foundation investigations and design. Then there is the National Environment Management Authority (NEMA), which ensures that the building and the construction processes do not harm the surroundings. There is the local authority, the county government, and their job is to approve the construction, the drawings that have been made, and ensure that the building is being constructed at the right place and in the right manner. There is also the contractor who realizes the vision of the architects and engineers. Contractors are under the National Construction Authority. NCA, however, is only in charge of buildings under construction. Then there is the National Buildings Inspectorate, which is in charge of buildings which are now under occupation. Several stakeholders have argued that the problems in the construction sector in Kenya is because of the number of multiple players involved.
A construction failure will happen if any of these 5 agencies does not do its work. If any of these 5 players doesn't do its work. Now, these 5 players are all regulated by different laws. The NCA is just one of the laws. We don't regulate the conduct of architects and engineers. We don't approve drawings. That is the preview of the Physical Planning Act, domiciled with the counties. We don't give environmental licenses, it's NEMA. We don't control clients or developers. And there's no law that forces clients to use any of these professionals. So, of course, you can trace corruption in any of this. It's a chain. And they say the strength of a chain is as strong as its weakest link. So, I cannot talk for others. But we know that that could be a factor, especially in the approval process. And what we are saying, best practice, let the approvals be done under one umbrella. Regardless of the many laws, we are still one country. This can be done under one umbrella, in one station, in one desk. So that clients don't have to go to multiple agencies to seek approval. And this is what we've been advocating for. But then the structural failure is that we must amend some of the laws.
The National Construction Authority, NCA, boasts that there are far more model construction sites like this one than those that have collapsed. If you ask the engineers and architects why buildings are collapsing, they will tell you that unlike the situation in such high-end construction projects, other unscrupulous developers are not using professionals, or it is because some of the regulators in the chain don't have the capacity to enforce some of the regulations they are mandated to.
Look at the columns, yeah?
NCA, for instance, has a bone to pick with the police and local authorities. On the 11th of October 2017, a 4-story building under construction in Kisii town collapsed and killed 8 people. According to NCA, all that could have been avoided had its instructions been heeded or if it had the authority to enforce the law.
The approved structure was meant to have 3 floors. But I think by the time it collapsed, it was on 5th floor. And the sad thing about that particular case is that as an agency, we had gone there a week before the collapse and even told the police to stop it and written in the occurrence book that we feel this is going to collapse. But then the police didn't do anything about it. And there are many others which we've said time and again that we feel, based on our knowledge and our experience, this is a dangerous construction. Don't forget, construction is a science. We do mathematical calculations to determine the number of floors. So if something has been designed for 3 floors, it will never hold 5 floors. And if it does, it will be for a very short time.
That, the authority says, is the most commonly flouted regulation of buildings exceeding the declared floors. Others do not have proper emergency exits with only one tiny entrance available, yet housing hundreds of people. Any building with more than 5 floors should have a lift, but in Nairobi's informal settlements, none has. Neither do many have any natural light to speak of. The regulators also blame developers for poor concrete mixtures and weak support frames that buckle under the weight of the buildings. The county governments are the ones that are supposed to ensure that developers build only what has been approved, but that has been a challenge because many county governments are simply overwhelmed.